Hey, welcome to a new video. The Middle East is a fascinating region that's made up of various countries, each with its own unique culture and history. With a total of more than 15 countries, the area is not only rich in traditions, but also in mysterious and sometimes terrifying discoveries.
Are you new to this channel? Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And before we start, also like the video. Number 30.
The mysterious statues of Nineveh, Iraq were found at various locations throughout the city. Nineveh was built on the eastern bank of the Tigris River and was surrounded by an impressive system of defensive walls. The city covered about 750 hectares and was dominated by two prominent hills. Many of the statues discovered in Nineveh date back to the 7th century BC and were found during excavations, mostly conducted in the 19th century. Significant finds include colossal statues of winged bulls and human heads that once guarded the city's gates. These protective deities were meant to ward off evil and demonstrate the king's power. Known as Lamassu, the statues are characterized by their detailed craftsmanship and enormous size. Many statues from this period were discovered in ruins from the palace, which featured intricate reliefs depicting various scenes of Assyrian life and conquests. Some contemporary stories view these statues as cursed, influenced by the region's turbulent history and the tragic fate of Nineveh.
Number 29.
Dumun, a prominent place in Mesopotamian mythology and literature, plays a significant role in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Considered the earliest literary masterpiece, it's believed to be the dwelling place of an immortal, whom Gilgamesh seeks in his quest for eternal life. Dumun is also mentioned in myths, where it's portrayed as a heavenly paradise and a land of purity. It's also an important trading hub connected to Mesopotamia, the Indus Valley, as well as the Arabian Peninsula. Bahrain, the ancient land of Dumun, was regarded as a sacred and prosperous land, frequently mentioned in Sumerian texts. Although they may not be as imposing as modern skyscrapers, the large burial mounds contribute to Bahrain's unique landscape and rich cultural heritage. Spread across 11.6 square miles on Bahrain's main island, these mounds cover 5% of the total area. These mounds were built over several centuries and served as burial sites for the people of the Dumun civilization. The vast size and number of the mounds have intrigued and amazed archaeologists and historians. Local legends and folklore often describe the mounds as ancient and mysterious, with stories of spirits and jinns said to have inhabited the burial grounds.
Number 28.
Human history is much older than commonly believed and has endured many catastrophes. In just a few hundred years, we've advanced from horse-drawn carriages to cars and space travel. Given this rapid progress, it's raised questions of whether similar advancements might have occurred in the past. One intriguing piece of evidence often cited to support the idea of ancient extraterrestrial visitors to Earth is a 3,000-year-old artifact that resembles a spaceship. This artifact gained attention thanks to Sakara Bird, who discovered the artifact in 1973 in Turkey. Some see this artifact as evidence of alien presence, while others believe that ancient human civilizations had advanced tech, such as flying vehicles. This mysterious stone artifact found near Lake Van in modern-day Turkey depicts a man seated in what appears to be a spacesuit. According to the person who found it, the artifact was discovered in the city of Tuspa, which was the capital of the kingdom of Arata in the 9th century BC. Arata was a civilization known for its skilled metalworkers and unique language, which was related to the Hurrian, and had no known connection to other languages.
Number 27.
The eye idols of Tel Brak are a collection of small stone figurines discovered in the ancient city of Tel Brak in Syria. These figurines were found in a structure known as the Eye Temple, dating from the early to middle northern Uruk period, around 3700 to 3500 BC. The true meaning, function, and significance of these artifacts remain unknown, but they're believed to have been placed in the temple as votive offerings. Carved from stone, specifically gypsum alabaster, the idols are no more than 5 inches tall. A striking feature is their large engraved eyes, symbolizing attentiveness to the gods. Some even have multiple sets of eyes or depictions of children with the larger idols' bodies. Eye symbolism was popular in Mesopotamia at the time, and the eye designs have been found on objects from the royal cemetery of Ur and in temples. However, the eye idols of Tel Brak are completely unique and have no known parallels to Syria or Mesopotamia. What do you think their true meaning is?
Number 26.
In 2022, an intriguing incident involving a spherical metallic orb occurred in the Middle East. This unidentified flying object caught the attention of locals due to its consistent features and behavior, similar to other sightings in the region. This unusual event came to light thanks to NASA's efforts. The organization formed an independent research team consisting of 16 experts from various fields to investigate UFOs. Over a period of 9 months, the team studied these phenomena. Less than a year into their research, they revealed a video showing an unidentified metallic spherical orb hovering somewhere over the Middle East. These orbs are often observed in other parts of the world, moving in unusual ways, which adds to their mystery.
Number 25.
In 2003, archaeologists discovered the long-lost tomb of King Gilgamesh, the central figure of the oldest known book in history, the Epic of Gilgamesh. This epic poem was written as a tribute to the life and reign of the legendary ruler of the ancient city of Uruk. The tomb described in the book is the final resting place. The tomb, described in the epic as Gilgamesh's final resting place, was found beneath the waters of the Euphrates. According to the engraved clay tablets that formed the book, the tomb was constructed when the mighty river split after Gilgamesh's death. These tablets, which make up the ancient text, provide vivid descriptions of the ruler's burial beneath the Euphrates. When the tomb was uncovered, officials requested documents concerning the location of his body, in the presence of the buried Nephilim. As if that weren't strange enough, actual footage of the tomb's entrance showed Gilgamesh's body appearing almost untouched by time. His beard even remained intact. Could he truly be immortal? And how did his body remain so well preserved? What do you think?
Number 24.
The Valley of the Kings is located on the west bank of the Nile River near Luxor. This site is home to some of the most famous archaeological discoveries ever made in the history of Egypt. It's said that more than 60 tombs have been identified of pharaohs, priests, and other important people. One of the most famous, and one that you should have learned in school, is the tomb of Tutankhamun. This tomb was discovered by Howard Carter in 1921. In addition to Tutankhamun himself, over 3,500 treasures were found, including his golden mask, which is housed in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. What many people may not know is that Tutankhamun was 9 years old when he became pharaoh, and that he died at a young age of 19. Also, Ramses II, who is considered the greatest and most powerful pharaoh of all time, was found in the Valley of the Kings. This site has only been partially excavated, and it's so large that new discoveries are still being made to this day.
Number 23.
The Well of Baral, also known as the Well of Hell, is a sinkhole located in the desert of Al-Mahara Prince in eastern Yemen. The opening at the top of the Well of Baral is about 98 feet wide, while the bottom expands to around 394 feet. The sinkhole itself is estimated to be between 328 feet and 820 feet deep, though no one's reached the bottom yet. A common belief is that the well was created to imprison jinns, spirits in the Arabian mythology that can change forms. Some legends even suggest that the jinns were forced to dig the well and are now trapped inside. The well is also associated with supernatural stories and is said to be the most hated place on earth by God. Visitors who have approached or descended into the Well of Baral have reported a foul and almost unbearable stench.
Number 22.
In 2013, an archaeologist named Pierre Tallet found 30 fragments of 4,500-year-old hieroglyphs with writings. He found them in a cave near the Red Sea, and the fragments, also called the Diary of Mir, is considered the oldest papyrus ever found. The Egyptians used reeds from the papyrus plants that grew in swampy areas around the Nile, and made them into writing material. What was contained in these fragments would be, according to the well-known archaeologist Zahi Hawass, the greatest discovery in Egypt in the 21st century. In fact, it showed how they transported 2 to 3 tons of stone blocks via boats to Giza. Which would take 2 to 3 days. The Great Pyramid has over 2.3 million limestone and granite blocks, so you can imagine that this was an awful lot of work. However, the fragments don't tell how they had cut the stone blocks with precision and how they were put in the pyramid.
Number 21.
The Neolithic skulls of Jericho are a collection of human skulls, covered in a layer of plaster. These skulls were discovered during archaeological excavations at the site of Tel es-Sultan, near the modern-day West Bank city of Jericho. They're estimated to be about 9,500 years old, making them one of the oldest examples of plastered skulls ever found. The plastered skulls were part of the burial practices of the people of Jericho, dating from around 8,500 BCE to 4,300 BCE. The skulls were carefully prepared, with layers of plaster applied to them and sometimes decorated with shells inserted into the eye sockets. The purpose and meaning of plastering the skulls are not fully understood, but it's believed to be related to ancestor worship and ritual practices. Similar plastered skulls have been found at the Neolithic sites in the region.
Number 20.
Deep in the Theban necropolis on the west bank of the Nile lies an ancient tomb that strikingly resembles the mythical tomb of Osiris. This site dates back to Egypt's New Kingdom, a significant era from the 16th century BCE to the 11th century BCE. During this period, under the reign of the 18th, 19th, and 20th dynasties, this sacred ground served as the final resting place for individuals of the highest ranks, including priests and officials. The tomb of Osiris likely dates back to the 25th or 26th dynasty of Egypt. According to ancient Egyptian mythology, Osiris drowned in the Nile. In some versions of the myth, he was dismembered into 14 pieces by his brother Set. the god of storms, chaos, violence, and foreigners. Over 12 days, his body was restored, and he was brought to his final resting place in the tomb, where he was briefly resurrected. The tomb complex, which features an image of Osiris and other chambers, brings one of Egypt's oldest legends to life.
Number 19.
In 1954, an archaeologist had discovered a ship in a trench near the Great Pyramid. This ship was found in 1,224 pieces, and when they put it together, it was 43.6 meters long and 5.9 meters wide. The ship is thought to have been built for Khufu, the second pharaoh of the 4th dynasty. The ship is dated to 2500 BC, and according to many studies, the ship could sail if it was placed in a river. However, it's unclear if it could sail because certain parts were missing, and because there was barely any room. No one knows what the ship was made for, but it's suggested that it was used for ritual tours or to take pharaohs to their resting place.
Number 18.
Near the northern coast of Qatar lies the site of the Al-Jazeera rock carvings, known for its extensive collection of petroglyphs engraved into the rocks. The carving depicts human life, boats, animals, and mysterious symbols and marks that have yet to be deciphered, covering an area approximately 2,300 feet to 700 meters wide. It's the most extensive collection of petroglyphs in Qatar. The site includes a total of 874 carvings, some of which are believed to date back to the Neolithic period. They primarily consist of cut marks arranged in rows, rosettes, and star-like shapes, as well as figurative carvings. The petroglyphs also include images of Deho boats, used in the past and still in use today. The exact purpose and the meaning of the carvings remain unknown. Some theories suggest they were used for navigation, religious rituals, or as tribal markers, but there's no consensus among historians and archaeologists. The fact that these carvings have survived for thousands of years adds to their mystery. The people who created them and their way of life have largely been lost to history.
Number 17.
The Sphinx of Giza is the largest and most famous statue in the world, and is 73 meters long, 19 meters wide, and 20 meters high, allowing researchers to see that there were several corridors and chambers under the Sphinx. According to them, there's a secret chamber, also called the Hall of Records, under the left foot of the Sphinx, which has not been examined even to this day, because the Egyptian government does not allow it. The Hall of Records is said to be a library, which houses all kinds of important info, but this has never been proven. On the head of the Sphinx, there's also an opening that many people don't know about. There's also an opening on the back of the Sphinx at the end of the rear that also leads to a dead end. However, there are ancient stories circulating that there is a tunnel system under the Sphinx that connects to the Great Pyramid. However, in 1999, there was a TV special in which archaeologist Zawi Hawass tells us that there is a tunnel 29 meters deep underground that is between the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx. He goes down to the bottom with a reporter and finds 4 pillars with hieroglyphs on them and a huge 12-ton sarcophagus, which they say is supposed to be Osiris, the Egyptian god of the underworld and eternal life. But if we're to believe him, the coffin was empty. It's also interesting to note that Osiris is depicted in several hieroglyphics, and that he has a mysterious green skin color. From this room, there were also said to be tunnels, but because it was still under investigation at the time, they were not allowed to film there. Since then, no more info has come out, and so it remains unclear where these tunnels led.
Number 16.
The story of the Tower of Babel is recounted in the Bible of Genesis 11:1-9. According to the story, the people of Babylon sought to build a mighty city and a tower that reached to the heavens, in order to make a name for themselves. However, God disrupted their work by confusing their language, making it impossible for them to understand one another. The Tower of Babel is often interpreted as a warning against human pride and disobedience, as well as a theological explanation for its diversity of languages among humanity. This myth may have been inspired by the Babylonian ziggurat known in Babylonian as Bibelu, the Gate of God. However, there's a theory that suggests that Gilgamesh, a powerful king of ancient Sumeria, might have been involved in the construction of the Tower of Babel. Some theories propose that Nimrod, who is associated with the building of the Tower of Babel in the Bible, and Gilgamesh could be the same person.
Number 15.
The Burney relief, also known as the Queen of the Night, is an ancient Mesopotamian artifact currently housed in the British Museum in London. It's believed to have been created in Babylon between 1792 and 1750 BCE, during the reign of a certain Babylonian king. The relief depicts a goddess, though her exact identity remains a subject of debate. One theory suggests she represents the goddess Ishtar, the goddess of love and war, while others propose she is her sister and rival Ereshkigal, the ruler of the underworld. Some scholars believe she could represent Lilith, a figure later associated with demons or night spirits in Jewish tradition. The Burney relief is unique among Mesopotamian artworks because it shows a full depiction of the goddess, rather than just her symbols. She wears a horned headdress and horned rod and rings of justice, symbols of divinity in Mesopotamian culture. It's believed to have been found during excavations of ancient Babylonian ruins in southern Iraq in the early 1920s. initially owned by a Syrian dealer. It eventually made its way to the British Museum in London.
Number 14.
The Serapeum of Sakara lies underground, located to the northwest of the Djoser Pyramid. The special part of this place is the Great Vault, a 380-meter-long tunnel that has been manually excavated. Here in 1851, several side chambers were found, containing 24 gigantic stone coffins weighing between 70 and 100 tons. The chests are large blocks of granite carved with incredible precision and understanding of symmetry and geometry. In school, you learn that the tools of Egyptians consisted of axes, chisels, and wooden hammers. But according to many experts, it's impossible to create these chests with these tools, and moving them would not be possible without the use of heavy machinery. So how the ancient Egyptians did this is a big mystery. Another theory is that they had found the coffins, which therefore means that it was created by another advanced civilization who had incredible knowledge. It's said that these coffins were used for Apis bulls. These animals were worshipped by the Egyptians. But then again, this is just a theory, because the coffins were found empty.
Number 13.
The Cave of the Seven Sleepers, also known as the Yashabe Kahf, is a cave reference to both Christian and Islamic traditions. According to legend, a group of young men known as the Seven Sleepers sought refuge in this cave to escape religious persecution by the Roman Emperor. According to the legend, a group of young men known as the Seven Sleepers sought refuge in this cave to escape religious persecution by the Roman Emperor Decius around 250 AD. According to the Quran, they miraculously awoke centuries later. The cave was reportedly rediscovered in 1951, and it's located in Iran. It's important to note that other locations are also claimed to be the Cave of the Seven Sleepers, but none have been definitively proven to be the original site of this legend. The Cave of the Seven Sleepers in Iran is an ancient rock-cut burial cave with multiple burials inside. In Islamic tradition, the story of the companions of the cave is seen as evidence of Allah's divine power, highlighting the miraculous event of the 7 young men falling asleep and awakening more than 3,000 years later.
Number 12.
In 1940, during World War II, French archaeologist Pierre Montet found a tomb located in Tanis, a city on a Nile delta that belonged to a pharaoh who reigned between 1047 and 1001 BC. The remarkable thing about the discovery is that this pharaoh named Posenes was buried with incredible wealth. Surrounding his sarcophagus, which was made of silver, were thousands of treasures. Silver was more valuable than gold at the time, meaning that this pharaoh was an important man and Egyptians wanted to honor him. Unfortunately, many wooden artifacts around the chest have been destroyed by the water, but the chest itself was preserved in good condition. Inside was the pharaoh covered in silver and a golden mask that is considered a masterpiece. This discovery is among one of the most important, but because it was during a period of war, little media attention was given to it.
Number 11.
The Black Desert Kites in Jordan are ancient stone structures with a converging shape that resembles a kite. These structures vary in length, from less than 328 feet to 100 meters to several miles or kilometers, and stand at a height of less than 1 meter. These kites enclose an area with a median size of 4 square miles, although larger and smaller sizes are also known. They're part of a broader phenomenon found in specific parts of the Middle East, with similar structures known worldwide. The kites are made from basalt stones, which are abundant in the volcanic landscape of the Black Desert. One theory suggests that these structures were used as hunting traps to drive and capture wild animals, such as gazelles. The long converging walls would guide the animals into an enclosed area where they could be more easily hunted. However, an intriguing question remains: who built them? Many of the kites were first identified in aerial photographs taken in the 1920s. Their visibility from the sky adds a layer of mystery, as ancient peoples designed these structures without the ability to view them from above.
Number 10.
Mount Nimrut is a mountain in southeastern Turkey, famous for its summit, where a number of large statues were erected as part of a royal tomb from the 1st century BCE. The mountain stands at 7,000 feet and is one of the highest peaks in the eastern Taurus Mountains. The statues in the mountain were built in 62 BCE by the king of that time. He constructed a tomb sanctuary on the mountaintop, flanked by massive statues of himself, 2 lions, 2 eagles, and several deities from a mix of Greek and Iranian traditions. This arrangement of statues represents various ancient gods and were originally almost 33 feet tall. The complex on Mount Nimrut belongs to Kingdom of Kamajan, a small independent Armenian kingdom established in 162 BCE. It features a 164-foot-high burial mound of loose stone, surrounded by terraces on 3 sides. On the upper level of the east and west terraces sit 5 colossal limestone statues of gods.
Number 9.
The next discovery is rare, and is something you probably wouldn't expect to see on this list. The Sakara Bird, as it's called, was discovered during an excavation of a tomb in 1898 in Saqqara, Egypt. The wooden bird, which incidentally resembles a hawk, has a wingspan of 18 centimeters, and the strangest part is that it has no feet. Archaeologists have dated this artifact to 200 BC, and this discovery has made many people think. Its purpose is unclear, but there are several theories. Some think it's a ceremonial object or toy, but because it has no feet just like a bird, others think the Egyptians may have had knowledge of aerodynamics and the ability to create flying things.
Number 8.
Archaeological finds suggest that a tomb in Galilee, Israel, dating back to the Intermediate Bronze Age, was used by Romans and is mentioned in the Talmud, the central text of Judaism. The tomb contains pottery from the period, offering valuable insights into Jewish burial customs during the Second Temple period. This includes the practice of primary and secondary burials, where bodies were initially placed in niches, and after decomposition, bones were collected in stone boxes. One of the lintels found in the tomb bears the inscription from Tiberias, possibly indicating that the person buried there came from that place, which was another city in Galilee. In the well-preserved Sanateeth Cave burial site in Galilee, an ancient grave was discovered, believed to belong to a spiritual leader. Archaeologists think it was a tomb of a female shaman who lived between 10,800 and 9,500 BC. The woman's grave was surrounded by chalk and limestone fragments, as well as unique objects like a leopard's pelvis, a wild boar's forearm, and an eagle's wing. These unusual items suggest they were part of a burial ceremony, possibly marking the transition from hunter-gatherer to agricultural societies.
Number 7.
One of the most recent discoveries happened in October of 2019. Near the Egyptian city of Luxor, archaeologists found more than 30 coffins with mummies inside. It's also considered by the government of Egypt as the biggest discovery of the last century, and the mummies were dated back to 3,000 years ago. The mummies and the colors of the coffins were remarkably well preserved, and were stacked 1 meter below the ground in 2 rows. Of the 30 mummies found, 23 were men, 5 were women, and 2 were children, who were thought to be from the middle class. This discovery may reveal important details about how Egyptians respected the dead. The 30 mummies have been on display since 2020 at the new Grand Egyptian Museum located 3 kilometers from the pyramid.
Number 6.
The hand of Hercules is a fragment of an ancient statue unearthed in Amman, the capital of Jordan. During the Roman occupation of Amman's citadel under Marcus Aurelius between 162 to 166 CE, a magnificent temple was erected. This impressive structure was said to rival the largest temples in Rome, captivating all who saw it. The temple faced east with its portico, and was surrounded by 6 towering columns, each 32 feet high. However, what puzzles scientists is the curious absence of columns in the rest of the temple, leaving behind only 3 giant fingers. It's believed that these fingers once belonged to a colossal marble statue of the demigod Hercules, found at the site of the Roman Temple of Hercules. The hand is now the only surviving part of the statue, along with a piece of the elbow. Experts estimate that the original statue would have stood over 39 feet tall, making one of the largest known marble statues ever. The hand itself is a massive fragment, and its size can be appreciated compared to the surrounding structures. It's thought that the statue broke apart during a devastating earthquake, but the hand and elbow survived while the rest of the statue disappeared.
Number 5.
Harat AlBalad is a deserted settlement in Oman, and one of the oldest neighborhoods in the country, now regarded as a ghost town. Dating back several centuries, it was once a thriving community. The area contains 376 houses and nearly 250 wells, and was once a thriving community. The area contains 376 houses and nearly 250 wells, some dating back over 9 centuries. Positioned on the edge of the desert, the town was surrounded by a wall made of stone and mud bricks, featuring 4 gates and 2 impressive watchtowers. It was once a center of scholarly activities. The defensive wall around the area had several gates, including the Morning Gate by the bustling market. This gate, along with the others, led to the heart of the district. It also houses 4 ancient mosques. These mosques, located along the central lane, boasted beautiful crafted mihrabs dating back to the 9th and 10th centuries. By the early 2000s, Harat AlBalad had been abandoned for centuries and was rapidly falling into decay, until the ministry stepped in with restoration work.
Number 4.
In school, you probably learned that the Sphinx is 4,500 years old, but a more recent study and theory suggests that it was built much earlier. In fact, archaeologists have discovered regeneration at the top of the Sphinx, which would date it back to 11,700 years ago, which happens to correspond to the last ice age. At the end of the last ice age, the Sahara was a desert and just as dry as it is today. Studies suggest that about 6,000 years ago, the Sahara suffered from climate change, becoming a tropical area covered in grassland and experiencing regular rainfall. There's also a theory that the Great Pyramid was built in multiple phases as different types of materials were discovered. And there's even speculation that the Egyptians had only restored the pyramids, and that it was built by an older civilization. because these kinds of circular shafts found in the Great Pyramid were created with incredible precision. They are tens of meters huge granite blocks, and it's practically impossible if this was done with hammers and chisels. So maybe there was another ancient civilization after all with incredible knowledge, or the Egyptians had help from, well, aliens. This could possibly explain why no hieroglyphs or mummies have been found in the pyramid. It's also thought that the head of the Sphinx was put on later, because it's not quite right in proportion to the body. So did the Egyptians move in once they found the pyramids and the Sphinx? And did they just restore the whole thing? Or what do you think? There's many unanswered questions. But what scientists discovered in 2018 is totally bizarre.
Number 3.
The Tomb of the Virgin Mary is a Christian burial site located in the Kidron Valley, at the foot of the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem. At the foot of the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem, Israel. Many Eastern Christians believe this to be the resting place of Mary, the mother of Jesus. According to Christian tradition, Mary ascended from heaven in bodily form, so no one claims her remains are still in the tomb. The New Testament also does not mention her death or burial site, but a strong Eastern Christian tradition places her grave in this dimly lit church. Oil lamps and icons dedicated to Christ line the tomb, along with her empty grave where pilgrims light candles and spend a few moments in prayer or reflection. The church is also known as the Church of the Assumption, and is built around ancient Jewish rock-cut tombs. It can be accessed via a staircase that leads to an open courtyard. In addition to the tomb, the church contains the grotto where Jesus is said to have met his disciples before being betrayed by Judas.
Number 2.
The Great Pyramid is built of more than 2.3 million blocks, some of which weigh as much as 70 tons. The pyramid is 146 meters long and 230 meters wide, and there's a good chance it was done with intention. In 2015, researchers had the chance to study the pyramid, and it was called Scan Pyramids Project. With different kinds of technologies, they were able to find out that there was a large room, which is called the Grand Gallery. This had been found in other hidden rooms, including the King's Chamber, and the Queen's Chamber with shafts coming out from under the ground. This news was already incredible, but in 2018, scientists came out with scientific evidence that the Great Pyramid was not built for pharaohs, but that it can concentrate electromagnetic energy. Because of this discovery, we are now also able to develop better nanosensor technology and more efficient solar energy. But according to the so-called experts, it's a coincidence that the pyramids can do this. But it gets even more bizarre, because the location of the Great Pyramid is at the center of the Earth, also called the Prime Meridian, and the geographical orientation of the structure is that the sides are almost perfectly placed from north to south and east to west. This means that whoever designed the pyramid had an extraordinarily accurate astronomical knowledge. So the Great Pyramids are more mysterious than we ever imagined. A hieroglyph found years earlier may have something to do with this. The hieroglyph shows 2 lamps, with which the Egyptians possibly wanted to show that they therefore knew how to create electricity. However, we still don't know what the purpose of the pyramid was. But that is much more than we have ever learned is clear. I wonder what else would be discovered in the future. And I wonder how advanced these people actually were, and what the purpose of the pyramid really is.
Number 1.
The Dead Cities, also known as the Forgotten Cities, are a group of abandoned settlements in northwestern Syria. These cities include over 700 settlements grouped into 8 archaeological parks. They date from the 1st to 7th century and were part of a prosperous region during the Roman and Byzantine periods, benefiting from agricultural production and trade. However, they were gradually abandoned between the 8th and 10th centuries due to various factors, including economic decline, changes in trade routes, and possibly climate changes. Despite this, the dry climate and remote location have helped preserve the sites remarkably well. Many buildings, including houses, churches, bandhouses, and other structures, still stand today. The site includes a variety of structures, such as basilicas, monasteries, public baths, tombs, and houses. Which country in the Middle East would you like to visit? Let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos we've made, click on the screen or take a look at the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.